Check. I'm a DJ, man. It's my song now. I wonder if you can hear me. Was it too fast? Fast time. I don't know. It's doing its own thing here. There's like so many volume knobs going on right now. Can you hear me? Check.
blocks away are the merchants, developers, and the politicians murmuring, this year we ought to do something. We'll be doing some cruising ourselves this evening to check the pulse of the avenue and sift through some of the plans of those who have worked their will here at the heart of a Saturday night. The Hennepin Avenue Strip glistens for about 8 blocks through downtown. At its upper end, the marquees buzz with Hollywood's latest, or a rock and roll one-night stand. At its lower end, the strip shows mingle with the gay bars. And here at the center, a collage of working-class bars, fast food chains, newsstands, 2-bit arcades, adult bookstores and movie houses, all a backdrop for the nightly sidewalk circus.
Sometimes this is better than watching TV sometimes. It is better. Come here and watch Hennepin Avenue.
Get to see what's happening for another cup of coffee.
something. Get some of these young girls off the street. That's what you do.
Until someone really decides to just put you on the lake. You know, we're kind of sitting in the middle of an ocean, you know, full of, you know,
has focused in on any weekend night with a young person, molasses fear, thin walls, and by the large, low-priced drinks, especially in the house. Over the past 2 years, an extraordinary number of fights have broken out in and around the bar, like this altercation recorded by a WCCO camera crew late last summer, just outside Movies. A special state crime study recently revealed that Hennepin Avenue has more assaults than any other section of the city. But even taking this high rate as a base, Moby Dick's has at least 5 times as many incidents associated with its operation than would be expected. Police records show that nearly 3/4 of the assaults involved the club's bouncers, like Clarence Kramer, who jumped in to stop this fight. A recent survey by the Minneapolis Police Department showed that in nearly half of the 63 assaults they handled at Moby's over the last 2 years, someone required medical attention, including one man who ended up in intensive care with a collapsed lung after being bounced from the bar. On several occasions, customers have charged the bouncers themselves with assault, and in one case, the bouncer was convicted. Several citizens have been fired as a result of encounters with staff. And just a few weeks ago, a man who stabbed Bouncer Kramer and 2 other people last winter was acquitted of the charges after pleading to the jury that he had acted in self-defense.
Moby Dick's is what you call the best bar in town, and the clientele that hang out there aren't what you call the best in town either. They get drunk and they want to fight, and the bouncers have to deal with it.
the only time they ever have to, you know, at all touch somebody or anything is just to protect themselves. Downtown Hennepin Avenue here, there's a lot of weird people walking around sometime out in the alley and stuff at night, late at night, and we just had a tough time keeping us, you know, safe in there for our customers. But the bar itself is not rough, and our bouncers are not rough.
Despite Gould's protests that his problems are his customers, not his staff, when the City Council's Consumer Services Committee called him in last winter, he arrived with a long list of policy changes he had made, including the firing of one bouncer, dressing the rest in new monogrammed sports coats, reducing their work schedule to allow them to cool off, and outlawing any swearing at troublesome customers. All those changes, it seems, a tacit admission that the bar's management had been in some measure responsible for the violence. Just a half block away, at Scotty's and Silver, a posh disco bar, they mixed $2, collect a cover charge, and enforce their dress code.
This is not the place where you would go and
like Shinders, to whom the avenue has been home for decades, there is an even greater fear that as the downtowners move in to develop and clean up the avenue, they may destroy its historic character.
When I was a child of 5 sitting in my father's restaurant on the 6th and Hennepin, I remember drunks in and out of the door, prostitutes in and out of the door. The life then was approximately the same as it is now in the kinds of people you had to deal with. And that's what made it exciting then, and that's what makes it exciting now. The Avenue has its own past. It's a creature of an urban environment, and you just don't monkey with it.
News 11 at 6, beginning Monday. Now, from the action center of the Twin Cities, News 11 with Paul Majors, Diana Pierce, Tom Ryther on sports, and meteorologist Paul Douglas.
Good evening, topping tonight's News 11. A police crackdown on street people in Minneapolis, and our News 11 investigative unit is on hand to bring you the pictures.
Today's arrest capped an intensive sweep of homeless people in the downtown area.
Today, 12 people were arrested on Hennepin Avenue. Charges against them range from disorderly conduct to the sale of drugs. The sweep, which started Monday, is an attempt by police to reduce the growing number of vagrants and transients on downtown streets, which they say is leading to increased crime. Monday, 20 vagrants were hauled to jail from under the 5th Street Bridge, and yesterday, more were taken into custody. Kevin McDowell has that story.
This stretch of Glenwood Avenue in Minneapolis is the kind of street, with its rundown, empty buildings and seedy look, you want to say has seen better days, but even those probably weren't too good. Lately, it's become an area where vagrants congregate. In this two-day cleanup, police yesterday took 7 people into custody, some former members of the Hells Angels with outstanding felony warrants.
My name is Jackie Lee Steinbach, Jr.
Do you have a home?
Yes, I do.
Where?
In this backpack.
Where are you from?
Beaumont, Texas. B-A-U-M-O-N-T. Roll the camera.
What are you doing up here?
Roll the camera.
It is.
Traveling. Get in that bed.
Check.
And I'm a nice guy. I'm always call me guys down right now.
What?
You call me what? No good son of a guy.
Many of these transients will end up in the detoxification center.
I'm sober.
I think record bikes fucked up and crashed.
Police say that they're facing a sort of catch-22 in all this, because the vagrants they take to the detox center are out, usually within 72 hours, and that means they're back out here on the street. But police say they'll continue the roundups, hoping that the vagrants get the message. The message simple: get out of town. In Minneapolis, Kevin McDowell, News 11.
This two-day sweep is only a part of the crackdown on crime in Minneapolis that our investigative team has been covering. It's been underway all spring along Hennepin Avenue, and tonight we get a first-hand look at that. News 11 photographer Barb Hill has been covering the sweep and volunteered to take part while our cameras recorded what happened. What happened is not nice. Here's what she found along Hennepin Avenue.
What happened is not nice.
Hello. As I walked down Hennepin Avenue, a lot of questions came to mind. What is it about this street and these people that make me feel so nervous? What?
I live where the top people live in.
Oh, I'm just going to go get a Coke.
Can I go with you?
No, thanks.
Please.
No, thanks. The answers were easy. On Hennepin Avenue, many men assume the worst about a woman.
Where did you buy those Levi's? I think I like them.
Okay, Johnny. What do you think?
Yeah, I like you.
Oh, okay. Well, you're not here.
want to go out and have a look.
What are you talking about?
Hey, well.
No thanks. Even though I told this man I was going to McDonald's and then to catch a bus, he pursued me. I tried not to stall as I walked to the corner, but the stranger kept right up with me.
Which one down you going to?
Huh?
Which one down you going to?
McDonald's? The one in the city center.
You told us the one with you.
Oh, no thanks. I'm just, I'm gonna... No, I didn't. Sorry. Bye-bye. It was amazing to me that a lone female can become prey so quickly on the avenue.
Got joints for sale.
Oh, thanks. And that many of the men think there's a price for any woman here. Sorry. No thanks. The scene was repeated over and over in the 4 trips along the notorious city block. Young people sometimes stood within a few feet smoking what appeared to be marijuana. Out in the open, not worrying about the law. Over and over, men propositioned me, some asking to become my pimp.
For real. Nobody but me. I'm all alone, darling.
Well, not tonight.
Just give me some help.
Several times this spring, I've been hidden in surveillance trucks while officers swept the street, picking up prostitutes, pimps, and johns, arresting drug users and pushers. It changes very little. The users, the dealers, the johns, and the hookers are back each night. They were all spring, they will be again this summer. With photographer Jeff Wilkin, I'm Barbara Hill along Hennepin Avenue. Just walking.
A bizarre drowning in Golden Valley has left a Plymouth man dead tonight. His body was found in Bassett Creek this morning in less than 2 feet of water. He's identified as William Borchardt, and police believe he drowned as he headed across the creek from his nearby workplace to lunch yesterday. They found Borchardt's thick glasses a distance from where he was found and say he may have lost them, become disoriented, fell, and drowned.
For the second time this week, Minneapolis homicide investigators have the death of an elderly person to solve.
All right, do you remember a time when when downtown Minneapolis had very few skyways, no stadiums, but lots of department stores? You'd have to go back to the 1970s to conjure up those images. Well, now, thanks to one man's newly discovered treasure trove, you can see what that was like online at a local museum and in a brand new book. Tonight, we see how a shy teenager unwittingly made his mark on the city's history as we go finding Minnesota.
There's something about downtown Minneapolis, its energy and its ambition, that's always fascinated Mike Evangelist.
The IDS building, I think, is just a fabulous building, and it looks, I think, as good today as it did when they built it.
He remembers when they built it.
Bro, it's my favorite movie, dude. I totally forgot about this shit. You ever seen this one, John?
Railroads that keep them well supplied and prosperous have always held more than ordinary interest for me. That explains why I'm in Minneapolis, looking up at the offices of the Minneapolis and St. Louis Railway. And my call on the president of the road.
Good morning, Mr. Sprague. Good morning, Mr. Lee. I'm sure you remember Mr. Henry Westerman of Montgomery, Minnesota. He's one of our best shippers.
Very nice to see you again, sir. Our shipper friends are most important to the M. St. L. Won't you please sit down?
Mr. Sprague, I have an unusual request to make of you. I'd like to take a trip on one of your fast freights.
That's not such an unusual request. 99 men out of 100 are descendants of Casey Jones. Ordinarily, it wouldn't be possible to make such a trip because our fast schedule give us time to handle passengers. However, we made special arrangements for a camera crew to take pictures from one of our freight trains. You might accompany them if you like.
That sounds good to me.
All right, we'll make the arrangements. Mr. Leake, will you please ask Mr. Devens to step in a minute?
Certainly.
Before you start out, I'd like to tell you a little about our railroad. You'll see the shops and yards before you go. When you leave Minneapolis, you'll be on the main line. We have about 1,500 miles of mainline trackage serving the breadbasket of America. From Minneapolis, our lines extend to Aberdeen, South Dakota,
No, it's good.
to Des Moines,
It's
Iowa,
good, right?
and to Peoria, Illinois. These lines constitute an important transportation unit. They serve a prosperous and highly developed agricultural and industrial area in 4 Midwestern states. In our territory, as in all of the United States, most freight is handled by railroads. They transport raw materials and finished products all over the Midwest and to and from every corner of the United States. Here's Mr. Devens now. Mr. Westerman, I'd like you to meet Mr. Devens, the Vice President General Manager of our railroad.
Good morning, Mr. Devon.
Good morning. Mr. Westerman wants to take a trip on one of our fast freights. Would it be possible for him to travel with a camera crew?
I think it would. I'll be glad to make the arrangements for you.
Fine. Mr. Devens will take good care of you. Good luck on your trip. Thanks for your interest. I suggest you go through our shop first to see how we keep our cars
Nope. Didn't get it. Didn't get it there. No. Didn't do that one right. This one's for Real Boy Records.
Each car cost about $100,000. They're made of stainless steel and are air conditioned. In a few minutes, we are speeding toward Oskaloosa, Iowa. At the north end of the Oskaloosa yards, we went into a passing track to meet an extra out of Peoria, westbound to Minneapolis. These powerful sleek diesels appear to haul these long trains with little effort. There's 4,000 horsepower in the 3 units. From that stock shed on the right, livestock is shipped to market via the Emmons St. L. The Emmons St. L has few large passenger stations, but the Oskaloosa station compares favorably with those of any railroad. At Keithsburg, Illinois, the Emmons St. L bridges the mighty Mississippi River. The Keithsburg Bridge,
Chicago, the world's greatest railroad center.
My sister was like, I was like, yo, did you quit smoking cigarettes? And I was like, you know, not particularly, you know, not that much, you know. She's like, oh, I want an uncle for my kids, you know, or whatever. And I was like, oh, man. And I was like, yeah, I want to make like a bunch more beats, dude, you know.
Much of the freight to and from this area passes through Chicago. Looking down on a map
Trying to stick to this.
many important freight handling facilities.
This is the tightest shit. This is on YouTube and Twitch right now. Yeah, I need like a room mic, I think, a more kinda, hey, yo, how you doing kind of thing, you know.
Off to the south is the city's famous Union Stockyards. Here is the Wood Street Terminal, also known as the Potato Yard. And to the right is the Morgan Street Yard, where fresh fruits and vegetables are handled. That big spot clear to the left is Proviso Yard, the greatest yard of them all. So, discussing the good or bad points of the potato, as art connoisseurs might over some world-famous painting. After all, the potato is one of the most important items in the daily diet of the nation. Here is a car of fine Idahos in the 10-pound special pack, which makes it easy to judge condition and quality. They're really beauties, aren't they? The national reputation of the dealers and brokers who operate in this yard has been built up and maintained by the very thoroughness with which they do their work. Soon these very potatoes will be delighting housewives in Chicago or Baltimore or whatever city to which they may be consigned. Other vegetables with good keeping qualities, such as cabbages, onions, and so forth, also arrive in this yard. This dealer literally leaves no cabbage unturned in his inspection of the sacks he has selected at random from the car. The open sacks left by the dealers are all securely coopered by a corps of railroad employees who see that everything is left in good order before the cars are closed for later shipment or unloading. These men, who seem to be wandering casually around, not far from one of the rows of telephone booths, which are located here and there around the yard, are among the largest potato operators in the country. They are in the midst of actual trading operations. What appears to be a chance meeting with a few words and some scribbled notes may be the buying or selling of from 1 to 20 or more carloads of potatoes. Besides supplying Chicago, the Midwestern Territory, many cars are shipped east and south, often as a result of long-distance calls received right here. Trucks are able to back up on the concrete drives to the very doors of cars for quick and easy unloading. Once trucks are loaded and checked, they must pass over scales before leaving the yard. Thus, the railroad has a record of every load that leaves Wood Street before it is converted into crisp French fries, baked or mashed potatoes for your table.